You abandoned me at the age of 5 because I was crippled. Now you want me to save your dying son. How can't you recognize me, Mom? How can a disgraced and a cursed child save your dying son? Story time. Once upon a time, in a distant village, there lived this beautiful couple, Acharugo and her husband Obinna, who had 4 handsome sons after 5 years of barrenness. This couple loved their children so much. Seeing their boys grow up gladdens their hearts. But one thing is left out. There is no female child among their children. This makes Acharugo to cry each time she entered the market and saw a beautiful feminine outfit. She would wish she had a daughter that she would have bought the dress for. She always imagined how the beautiful clothes would have looked on her beautiful daughter if she had one. She prayed and cried to God every night for a daughter. Her lovely husband advised her to stop crying for a female child, for he is okay with the children God has given them. But she wouldn't listen. All she wanted was a female child that she can carry around just like every other woman. Like God answered her prayer. Some years later, Acharugo became pregnant. Each day, she prayed for her child to be a female child. After 9 months, she gave birth to a baby girl. Her daughter was as beautiful as the morning star. Acharugo was so happy that God has answered her prayer. She named her daughter Mmasinachi, but she preferred calling her Mmase. She bought all kind of expensive things for her beautiful daughter. Her happiness began to die 3 years after the birth of Mmase, after she had waited for her beautiful daughter to walk within her first birthday, but she didn't. She hoped Mmase would walk within 2 years, but still she didn't. She waited for 3 years, yet Mmase did not walk. People started gossiping that she had a beautiful crippled child. Some would call her Mama Nguro, meaning mother to the crippled. Some would call their family the crippled family. This made Acharugo regret ever asking God for a daughter. She stopped feeding and taking care of Mmasi, hoping she would die, but she still lived. Her siblings were sad and hid from people because they called them the crippled family. Her father always received insults each time they had kinsmen meeting. He blamed it on his wife, who was never content with what God gave her. He said, if not for your quest to have a daughter, we wouldn't have had a crippled child. Now, see the embarrassment you brought on us. One day, the family made plans to leave their village for a distant land where no one knows them, since the village is no longer a home for them. After 5 years, one night, while Mercy was asleep, her family packed all their belongings and left. When she woke up from sleep, she crawled to her mommy's room to greet her, but everywhere was empty. She called, but no one answered. She cried, yet no response. Then she realized her family have abandoned her. She stayed for days in the house, hoping her mother would return, but no one checked on her. One thing she and her family never knew of was the gift she had. Mercy, in agony, started singing. For the first time since her family abandoned her, somebody came to their house. As she was singing, people nearby who heard her voice were curious to see the owner of the beautiful voice. They came and saw that it was Mercy the crippled. She stopped singing at the sight of those people, but they begged her to sing one more time for them. Then she realized she had a beautiful voice. After singing for the people that have gathered in their compound, they gave her food and some other gifts. Since then, she began to sing in the village square, and within a space of time, people began to invite her to sing for events. This was how she fed herself and took care of her minor needs. One day, a businessman came to their village for a business trip. As he was passing by, he saw her singing under a tree and called her to come over. But she couldn't walk. He was surprised to see a beautiful child with beautiful voice but not walking. He took her to the king. He said he knew a herbalist that can make her walk. Their king allowed him to take her. He took her to the herbalist in their town, who cured her, and she started walking. This businessman and his lovely wife had only a son. His wife loved Mercy immediately she saw her. She took very good care of her till she was healed. She begged Mercy to live with them and be part of their family, since she had no family to go to. Mercy agreed and lived with them. This couple trained her together with their son, Ikedi. They trained them in business. Mercy and Ikedi were so intelligent that they learned the business strategy so fast that they sell off their goods faster than every other person in the market. This is because Mercy uses her melodious voice to sell their market. She sings about every goods they had, and people, in order to enjoy her song, goes to purchase from them. Mercy and Ikedi became very rich within a space of time. In the market, there was these two boys that comes to listen to her voice, but because they don't have money to buy, they stay at a distance listening. One day, Mercy sought them and asked them to come and stay with them. She told them to always feel free to stay with them, whether they are buying or not. These two boys became friends with Mercy and Ikedi, and they always go to their shop to help them. After some while, she stopped seeing them. She wondered why they stopped coming. Some days later, a woman who seemed helpless came to their shop crying. She begged Mercy to help them. She said her sons are very ill and were in the herbalist place. The problem is that they don't have money to purchase all that is required for their treatment. Watching this woman speak, Mercy developed goosebumps. She recognized the woman and her voice. She asked her to come back later. Mercy cried all night, remembering her family journey. She refused to speak to Ikedi, even when he begged her to talk to him. The next day, she gave the woman the money she requested for. After some days, the woman came back to their house to thank Mercy and Ikedi for helping them. When she arrived, Mercy asked her to leave their compound and never return. Surprised as the woman was, she asked what she did wrong, but Mercy said nothing. Then, Ikedi asked the woman if she didn't remember who the young lady really was. She said she doesn't. Mercy shouted angrily, "You abandoned me when I was 5 because I was crippled. I was a disgrace to you and your son. Why can't you remember me, Mom?" She said this in tears. Immediately, her mother burst into tears, begging her for forgiveness. She regretted ever leaving her daughter in the village. But Mercy said nothing. She insisted that the woman left their compound and never returned. Acharugo went home that day, crying non-stopping. She explained to her husband that the rich young lady and her brother they knew was the same crippled daughter they abandoned to die in their hometown. The family regretted their actions and kept on sending apologies to Mercy, of which she ignored all. But her foster parents later convinced her to forgive them, which she did but refused to live with them. Ikedi and Mmasi later got married and lived happily. They also helped her brothers start up business which they used to take care of their homes too.